some of the guys I'm coaching now, because I'm just getting started, so I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Is I'm telling them, like, look, first of all, it's about protect, block and protect. Let's get you and diversify who you're offering, because you don't know what's going to happen to that company ever. I'm living proof of that. And so you want to make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Diversify
it.
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, for the second time, Jayson Waller in the house. What's cracking, Jayson?
Bam! That's what's cracking, baby.
Hey, and if you guys don't remember him, he was the dude that built up this big old company and solar business called, I think it was Power Home Solar.
Yep, and then it turned to Pink Energy.
Yeah. Got fairly big. What was the top best you ever did?
Well, we were valued at $1.05 billion. We had 2 public offers, a reverse merger we were doing with the company. But the top line, we finished 2021 with $650, and we were on pace for $800 million in 2022 for the year.
How many employees?
2,400.
Okay, now how many you got?
0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what the hell happened there?
Dude, it's the most unfortunate, most crooked product liability issue I've ever seen. You know, we were at the top of our game. We were the darling of solar. We installed the most American-made panels at the time. We were the largest private solar company at the time. More batteries than anybody in the country. We were pro-battery. We were partnered with Generac since 2020. So before 2020, half our customers, about 20,000 of them, were using a product called Solar Edge. Things were great. The executive team approaches us right before COVID from Generac. I didn't even know who the fuck Generac was. That's a true story. People like, I didn't know who they were. Like, I didn't buy a generator. I didn't know. But they were harassing us in a good way on LinkedIn and my management team saying, hey, we need to meet. We just bought this company called Pica. We've got this new battery and inverter, and we're really excited. We want to partner with somebody. So we see how big they are. They're a public company. They were worth $12 billion at the time. And they want to partner and us to start, Power Home Solar and Generac partner together to offer batteries for people, affordable batteries for people to go solar. And so we did it. They offered, we never co-branded with anybody. I mean, we installed solar on 5 NFL stadiums, a Major League Baseball stadium. We had 8+ years of an A+ with the BBB. We had 5,000 positive reviews, 20,000 online fucking testimonials. I mean, you name it, the best 40 awards, the best of the best. No problems. Fast forward to April 2021. We're about 18 months into this relationship, 15, 16 months into this relationship. Generac, a customer's house catches on fire. We're like, what? So we call Generac. We're like, there's this problem. The fire marshal says this has to do with this Snap RS 801 Snap. People think that Generac's only a battery company. They weren't. For those not in solar, think of a Snap RS as an optimizer or a ignition switch on a car. That's how the power turns on, activates that panel. So they make those, and they make inverters converting the energy from DC to AC. So it's not just a battery. That thing caught on fire. So we were freaking out. We contacted them, and all of a sudden we had a second fire. We're like, holy shit, there's a problem. They then immediately the next day, this is a public company, mind you, like this is a big, like it's not some mom pop fucking Frankie shit. This is Generac Holdings. Like this is a $12 billion business. They come out and say, great news. Email it to us, call us, everything. We have the firmware that will stop those fires from happening. It won't happen again. We're going to update everybody. There's no more issues. We said, are you sure? They emailed back, yes, we're absolutely sure. There's going to be no problems with these systems. No. Fast forward the next 6, 7, 8 months. We're still growing, but there's a slow tick on service calls. And we're like, what the hell's going on? Well, we're having to replace these snaps. Their firmware stopping the fires. Yeah, but we're replacing these snaps and systems aren't producing. So for those that don't understand solar, the way this works is you get solar to offset your power bill. That's how this works. If the system's not producing what it's supposed to, you're not offsetting what you were anticipating to offset when you signed up for the system, and therefore you can't replace it with what you were not buying from the utility company. So that becomes a problem. And so fast forward as we get into the end of 2021, we get into the beginning of 2022, we go from 800 phone calls into our customer service center to 30,000 in 30 days. We go from having 400 or 500 service tickets. Remember, we have 40,000 customers. You're going to have a system that has some issues or some shading issue or something broken. Like we offer warranties, 10-year warranty. We go out and fix systems. So we have normal service, normal wear and tear, normal mistakes as a growing company that we were always able to manage until all of a sudden we had over 10,000 systems that weren't producing overnight, that they sent firmware updates to. And they realized the problem. We're investigating these problems first quarter of 2022, but all these bad complaints are going on social media and on news things saying, oh my gosh, this company ripped me off. I bought this system and they sold me something that doesn't work. The guy with the blonde hair that drives the Lamborghinis, he stole all this money. Like all of this fake news out there that started happening, that we were investigating, like, why aren't these systems working? By April, we figured out with Generac that, it's their firmware that is actually governing their systems, not allowing them to produce what they're supposed to. And then what that means is they came in, they wrote a letter to all the consumers admitting, hey, we have a problem with this part. Pink Energy at the time is doing the right thing to fix this, work with them to get this done. So we started to do that, but then they lied and they had to make a new part. So then it turns out not only did that firmware prevent for them from doing that, but all the tens of thousands of systems we replaced those on from December to May 2022, December 2021 to May 2022, now we had to put a new part on because that didn't fucking work either. So we lost our minds. We threatened to sue them. They owed us almost $90 million in service fees. We went from installing 800 to 900 systems a month to installing 100 or 200, doing 300 or 400 service calls to doing 2,500 service calls. Our whole business model flipped. Our brand took a crap. We were getting blamed for everything. It was really, really hard. And so we brought in an AM100 law firm to come in and investigate our sales tactics, because we're like, hey, we're getting ready to go public. We had this public reverse merger offer that we signed in March of 2022 for $1.05 billion. We had audited financials. We had won all these awards. Now we're losing our BBB rating. Something's going on. We're like, we need to get to the bottom of this. They do this whole entire investigation for sales practice and go, you guys are as compliant as it gets. There's no issues here. Of course, the onesie twosies of maybe some shading here, a problem here, but overall, you guys have 40,000 customers, your contract's right, your proposals are right, everything you're doing is right. This has to do with something to do with the product liability issue. So we brought that to Generac. They agreed. I had one-on-one conversations with the public CEO, Aaron Jagfeld of Generac. Multiple times he said to me, this is on us, Jayson. We should have done a better job of due diligence when we bought this company. We will do everything in our power to fix this. Well, they didn't. They didn't reimburse us the $80 million in fees, that service fees that we're paying. They didn't reimburse us for the tens of millions of dollars of refunds we were giving customers for their systems not working. And so we went from all of these great things. We sued Generac. We started to gain momentum again, and sales started to go up because we quit using Generac. And we were turning the tide, but we ran out of cash. We went from a company profitable $50-60 million a year to losing $180 million in like 3 months in 2022. And I never had to lay off anybody. Of course, you fire people that maybe aren't doing their job, but we had mass layoffs in May, mass layoffs in July, mass layoffs in September, and closed. And so I had to lay off 2,300 people. I had to let the business close and leave these customers out there. The good news is, Brad, is I've been very vocal about what happened. I've shared some videos and information to kind of educate the consumers out there. There are 3 class action lawsuits against Generac. 2 of them are in states we're not even in. There are 5 companies that have closed, like ours, that had Generac, and that closed because Generac's parts were failing. Generac now has a securities fraud lawsuit against them, which means, for the listeners out there, that their executive team, including their CEO, lied to the shareholders, didn't tell them about this product liability issue. Had they done a national recall, none of this would have happened. 2,400 people still have their job. We would still be the darling in solar, but they didn't. And they lied to them how big we were. We were closer to 70% of their solar business. They told their investors we were like 7%. So it all became an issue.
Dude, how'd that make you feel?
For like 90 days, I was very bitter and sad because my family was getting death threats. I had the FBI show up at my house 3 days before Christmas and tell me there was a biker gang that put a hit out on me.
Why?
Because some solar deal and people being angry. I had people harassing my kids. The perception to these consumers out there, and I understand why they're pissed. Like, I always use the simple thing. if for people that don't understand solar, imagine if I'm selling Teslas and I have Jayson Waller's Tesla dealership and I'm putting all these Teslas out in the market and I'm crushing it and Tesla's happy and I'm happy. And all of a sudden 2 Teslas catch on fire. And I call Tesla and I go, dude, what the fuck? Your Teslas, they're 2 on fire. They're like, oh, we got this update that's going to fix it. And all of a sudden they send this update to my tens of thousands of customers, but now their batteries aren't charging the way they're supposed to. Instead of getting 250 miles of charge, they're getting 100. And all these customers are coming burning down my fucking building saying, you guys sold me something that doesn't work. And I'm looking at Tesla like, what the fuck did you do to your battery? And we end up closing. That same story is what happened to us, but the consumer doesn't understand because they did business with us. They don't give a fuck who made it. They give a fuck that who they bought it from. And so therefore, all these consumers are out there. They want to blame me. I'm an easy target. Yeah, I'm flamboyant. Yeah, I've had other businesses. People don't realize that I built 4 companies. I've had real estate. I've made money other places, but I made the same money in this business from 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. I didn't pull out distributions, except tax distributions. I left the money in there to take it public. I left the money in there to grow, to add jobs, to get more consumers, to help consumers own their power and be part of this renewable energy experience. But when this happened, it was like losing a child. Like I was devastated and pissed. But then I realized things happen for a reason. And there's a bigger reason that
you believe that?
I do. I believe that these are unfortunate events that I couldn't control. Of course, there's mistakes that everyone has made along the way. And of course, you go back and you go, man, I should have had different manufacturers, or man, maybe we should have done this, or man, maybe we should have done that. And I could do that all day. And I could sit and I can cry about it and I can give up and I can walk away. Or I can say, you know what, this is the plan. And I can take this knowledge, I can take this wisdom of building this monster company that was $1 billion business and was going to take it public and losing it, and share this information with people out there. Share this with entrepreneurs out there. Share this with other people looking to get into business or growing their business or looking to go public, and give them the losses and the wins that I've learned from in order to be better and still do really well. I mean, maybe that's my plan. Maybe that's what I'm intended to do. I was supposed to go through that experience to do that. And so that's the path that I'm following now. And I don't want to quit because my kids, am I supposed to just, I see my son, I talk about it all the time. He's like, he tells his teacher, I'm really, my dad's my hero because he goes out and doesn't quit working. He continues to do this, even though the TV stations or, the news stations are saying bad things about him. Kids are at school making fun of my son, like, oh, your dad's getting sued. He's on the news. They treated me like my pillow guy. If my pillow guy had pillows that were making people sick and everybody hated him and he was buying it from a manufacturer and suing them, like that's what they're treating me like, right? So they're attacking me personally.
My pillow guy?
Well, no. My pillow guy, I'm using that as an example. Imagine if he was selling pillows. I was
going to say, because like I know Mike Lindell and I bought one of his pillows. Those some bitches are good.
Right. But imagine if those some bitches gave you like fucking rashes.
Oh yeah. I'd say I want my money back. And if they said no.
But would you want to kill Mike? Would you blame Mike or would you blame the company? And see, people don't separate the two as the issue.
Well, again, I wouldn't blame anybody. I just want my money back.
Correct.
So like if they would have fixed all those things, nothing would have happened.
If they would have done a national
customers
recall.
Just want their shit right. A lot of people always say, "Listen, we I'll apologize and I'll make it right." And I always say, "Listen, I don't want it. I don't want you to make it right. I want you to not fuck it up in the first place."
Right.
Like that's what I want.
I agree.
Right. Like I drove my car. I have an F8, bought it brand new, just so I didn't have any issues driving it. And finally somebody pulls up in a Tesla because supposedly Teslas can beat Ferraris. And so my buddy pulls up in a Tesla. I see him. He says, "You want to go? Think you race that?" I said, "Sure." So I went, bzzz, freaking took off. And all of a sudden I heard this weird sound and I take it in and, the turbo, thank God, didn't blow up, but the turbo was bad. See, again, it's like, this is Ferrari, dude. But they said, "Here, let me have it." Boom. They said, "I'm sorry, it'll take a week," but bam, just replaced it. So I didn't really care. Well, but if they had fucked with me and bitched and tried to get out of it and made excuses, then I would have been pissed.
Well, imagine if Generac sent a letter out to everybody informing them when they knew there was a problem. That would have been great, rather than months later and 10,000 systems failing and us forcing them to send a letter like, "Hey, you guys are responsible for this." That would have been proactive where they wouldn't have been upset. It's like when you get a car, like you get a recall on a car, you're like, shit, I got to go to the dealership and get it fixed. That would have been the right way to do this, because not only was it an issue of homes catching on fire, but it was an issue of people buying things that aren't working, that are out of our control. It was in their control of their update.
It must have been in your agreement with Generac then, because if I were in your shoes, I would have said, "Generac, you have a big issue here. And when the customers calls, I'd say, let me give you the phone number to Generac. They're the ones handling their fuck up because it's not my fuck up. I didn't manufacture the shit. So I'd tell Generac, you better get out there and fix all those.
So that was part of the deal. And we were telling them they were supposed to pay us to fix it and let the consumers know it was on them. And they sent a letter out, but that was really the end deals. Then they weren't paying us for the service. And so we were kind of handcuffed because we had all these customers out there that signed up with us and we were just offering their product. So the agreement wasn't with Generac. Even though they had a manufacturer's warranty, they were blaming the install because they didn't understand. It was a lack of understanding.
And you lost all that dough.
So I had equity in the company for about $400 million that I lost. And, a lot of people are like, how the fuck do you get up every day? I said, well, I get up because there's a bigger mission, because my son wants me to succeed. My wife and kids want me to succeed because there's a bigger power that's pushing me out there to help other companies and what I can do next.
Not only that, you got 10 million left.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I wish it was a lot more, but it's what happens. And, but my first hope is that these consumers are finally made right. There is a big $1 billion lawsuit that we had to bankrupt the company, which is sad. And it owns the lawsuit now. It's not, I don't own it. They win it. It goes to the trustee and paying the creditors. But the whole goal is we pushed and asked all the consumers out there with issues to file a claim with the bankruptcy. So when they win, not if, but when they kick Generac's ass in court, because it's a slam dunk. Generac even knows. They made comments like, it's like David versus Goliath. We'll just tie you up in court for 5 years. They didn't care. They were so arrogant that they didn't fucking care. So now when all this ends up happening 2 years, 3 years down the road and they win, hopefully all these consumers are made whole. They're given money back. Their systems are fixed and everybody is happy. But 2,400 employees I let go was sad. Great.
How'd you let them go?
So the first 800, we strategically looked at markets that weren't doing it. We couldn't afford the payroll because things were tightening up. We were going from a sales and installation company to a service company, and that doesn't pay the same. And so as the business is changing and we're trying to clean up this mess, we're like, okay, well, we're going to downsize markets that aren't really profitable. So we scaled back from 26 markets to about 18, and that ended up costing about 800 jobs. And then 3 months later, it was like,
but did you send them an email? You're fired?
Well, no. So they went and met with all of the employees. Leadership did, directors. So, I had executives, I had directors, and there were regionals. They would meet with everybody and they would look at, we had an 80-20 rule, KPIs, and they would look at the bottom of the bottom and have to move on from there unless it was a position. And we strategically talked to the attorneys and to the states to make sure we were in the Warren Act, to make sure we weren't letting too many people go at one location. So we weren't falling into that problem. So we were letting people go accordingly to make sure that the business can still stay open. And it was usually the ones that weren't high up on the rankings of their stats, no matter what they did, installer, sales, customer service. If they were in the bottom of that, then we probably were shrinking each department a little bit to do that. Fast forward to when we let the key folks go, all the directors and the major layoff, September 21st, they were all crying. I had them on Zoom. People were bawling. It was so sad. Some of them within 5-6 years. They were excited that we were going to be a public company. We were given $100 million of our stock options to the employees, and all that went to dust, which is horrible.
I'd be pissed.
It took me 90 days to get over it. I mean, I'm still bothered by it, but it's like, what do I gain by sitting and stewing? I can't be a fucking victim. I have to say, you know what? Shit's going to work the way it does, right? I'm just going to focus on what I can do next.
Things don't happen to you, Jayson. They happen for you.
Right.
All that's happened for you.
I hope you're right.
Say you're welcome, or say thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever it's for, thank you for crashing my $1 billion business. It happened for you. People say, didn't happen to you, it happened for you. Well, that's a nice way to look at it, and it makes you kind of, accept things easier. But some things happen to you.
Yeah.
Like when you said you think everything happens for a reason. I do as well, but sometimes the reason is because you're a dumb fuck.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Not in this particular case, but in a lot of cases where people can't figure out why things crashed.
Yeah.
Go look in the mirror.
It's true.
That's why they crashed. And by the way, I could theoretically argue that it's true with you as well. You decided to fucking do business with Generac. But obviously, how would you have known? Well, again, that's why in this case I wouldn't agree. But
there is a silver lining. There is a silver lining.
Well, in most cases, it's the individual's responsibility. almost always.
And I own that. We should have, look, we had different credit companies. We had different wiring companies, different, racking companies, different panel companies.
You should have had a different training company is what you should have had.
Oh, that too. Yeah. So, but let me tell you this, here's the silver lining, if there is any, right? And I never wish bad on anybody. I really don't. Generac was worth $12 billion when we were open. They're worth half that now. Their stock was at $300. It's a little north of 100.
We call that a Bud Light.
Yeah. Well, if fucking Bud Light happened, because when we closed, all of the noise, all of the lawsuits that came after them, their stock and business just plummeted. So there is that. So the dumb fuck over there, Generac, should have just made this right, and it wouldn't have closed our company and cost his company half.
And who was that?
Aaron Jagfeld from Generac.
Now, I didn't tell you guys before you came, but I did invite Aaron here. Aaron's here today. Bring in Aaron.
Bring him in. I wish.
What would you say?
I'd probably lay the motherfucker out and go ahead and take the chains for a day. That's probably what would happen.
You're that mad?
Yeah, dude, he's a fuck dude. I've sat and done dinner with him. He fucking told us to our face and on the thing, this is our fault. We're going to make this right. And then he fucking was a weasel because he didn't talk to his board. I hope he loses his job and goes to jail for this. Like, he fucking lied to his investors. He lied to people out there buying their stock. I hope he gets fucked on this deal. Now, I don't wish bad on anyone, but he fucking should have owned this problem. He cost so many jobs and so many consumers to be pissed. And the problem is they're all hating on me and my family. My family gets harassed. My family gets bullied. My face is everywhere. It's hard for me. People are like, ooh, like, you're the guy that fucked over solar. It's like, how did I go from an A+ with the BBB and being the best at everything for 8+ years? You think I fucking woke up and forgot how to sell and install solar? No. How did the NFL approve me 5 fucking times? We always did the right thing till those fucks gave us a part that didn't work and didn't take ownership. We didn't magically fucking do something different. That's the problem that these idiots out there don't fucking understand.
Well, they do now.
I hope so.
But that was pretty clear. So, but nonetheless, it's over.
Yeah.
That's freaking got to be a bitter pill to swallow.
But I swallowed it. I did.
Not happily, but swallowed it nonetheless.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to spend an hour a week with me helping you become a business badass? Well, check out my group in the link below.
Okay, so moving forward, and by the way, there's a lesson in and of itself. Obviously, a lot of people would be all butthurt, go get a machine gun and freaking go postal on people, and you're just like, whatever. Next.
I was heartbroken.
There you go.
There.
That's all right.
It's all right.
It's very informal, this podcast.
Fuck it. It's fine.
It really is.
It's informal.
Yeah.
Make everything beep.
Like sometimes if somebody, like if my phone just rang and I saw that it was my wife, I'd probably say, hold on, and answer it.
Oh yeah, because they can edit everything.
Well, I don't edit, but because that's my wife, and if she's calling, that means there's a good reason, because I tell her, don't call unless there's a good goddamn reason. Why? Well, because I'm doing podcasts. So if she calls, that means holy shit.
Some shit's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
And I'd answer. Why? Because this is just a podcast.
Yeah.
You're probably the same way.
Exact same
way. If your daughter just called your phone and you had that rule with her.
Yeah.
You're going to go, hold on, dude.
Can
we edit this? And you'd be like, hello?
I have a rule. Call me back-to-back times if there's an emergency, if something's up. Right? So just back-to-back. If I don't answer you call a bit, I know there's a problem.
That's probably what I should do, because I always answer, and the problem is, her credit card stopped working.
I get that call too.
I said an emergency. She says, babe, I'm at the store.
Yeah, I get that call.
You don't have any other credit cards? You don't have any money in your bank account? She goes, you want me to use my bank account? I'm like, babe, absolutely. You can go ahead and do that. This was probably years back when she was just learning that she's in other words, she doesn't have to reserve so much anymore. What about your wife? How's she taking it?
She takes it harder than I do, because it hurts her feelings that people say all these hateful things about me online, or that my kids kind of felt a backlash on it. And she's on there sometimes fighting with these, because there's a group of people. There's a third of the people out there that are upset and hate are consumers, and they have a right to be upset because they're confused and they feel fucked over. Then a third are ex-employees that were let go and don't understand. right? And then a third are competitors that just love to see the hero fall. They're in the industry and they're like, oh, I knew he couldn't have built that big company on his own. Look at that motherfucker now. And those are the ones that I think really piss my wife off. And she like attacks back and I'm like, honey, the moment you give them a voice and you give two fucks what they say, they win. I don't give a fuck what they say. If they're wasting their time every fucking day, posting, writing, watching, paying attention to what the fuck I'm doing, I'm winning. Because I don't even know who the fuck they are. I don't follow them. I don't pay attention to what they're doing. So let them be fucking nobodies that just want to hate and hold people back and be fucking worthless. And we'll focus on doing the right thing and building something new again. And so we have that conversation because she gets sucked into it where they're just nasty. And it's given her like the anxiety. So my wife, when she was 9, the FBI kicked in the doors and took her dad to prison. And she slept in a bathtub for 2 years. So she has major PTSD when all this shit went down and the company closed and people are doing death threats. We're getting biker gangs giving like all this shit. She's just been freaked out. And I'm telling the local cops, like, so what do I do? Like, you know, and he's like, we'll have a cop car here. And I said, well, I've got guns and I'm not the best shooter in the world, but I'm gonna put a sign out there and I'm just gonna let you know if somebody comes through, I'm just blasting everything. I don't give a fuck if it's a kid, whoever the fuck comes to the door, I'm shooting motherfuckers. So like, of course I'm being overly aggressive to the cop, putting a warning out there, like, you better pay attention. That's when it first came out. I mean, it's been several months. I don't think it's true. I think someone was fucking with us and made a unanimous call to the FBI on purpose to try to do that. Or maybe the people in Wisconsin at Generac who lost so much, maybe somebody there made that call. I don't know. I did tell the FBI that because he said, who hates you more than anybody? I said, well, those assholes there lost $6 billion and he personally lost $100 million. I don't know.
That'd be, well, good, but she's getting through it.
She's getting through it.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 4 and I have 2 grandkids. So my kids are 24, 19, 16, and 12, 3 girls and 1 boy.
So what do they all think?
They're sad. Oh, Dad, what the fuck? Like, life is different now. Like, I thought we were going to get a jet one day. I thought we were going to do this. I thought we were going to do that. And, you know, it's like this fucking, they were living their best life and they just don't understand that, look, it's a reboot. If I built 4 companies and I built that company in 8 years to be $1 billion business, well, my goal is to build 5 $2 million companies and do it in 3 years, 4 years and sell them all and be in the same spot. So, you know, already kind of been involved in some of that recently and successful businesses are growing, but it's just hard for them because they're not used to me running a big company, right? Because all the companies I've grown from the bottom up have been pretty big and we've had good exits except this one and it closed. And so I think that I think they feel bad. Like, is Dad okay? And I am okay. I wake up and I'm like, I am inspired and motivated to do other things. But it's an identity change. It's like, let's say if you played in the NFL forever and all of a sudden you fucking don't, you're like, what do I do now? I have no interest in running a big company again. I have PTSD from that, but I have interest in helping people run companies.
If I speak at SolarCon tomorrow, the whole shebang, that's a pretty big industry event, no?
It is.
What would you have me say to the whole entire industry?
Don't fucking use Generac. It fucked Pink Energy and Power Home over.
Should I?
Yeah, you should.
I'll say, listen.
Half the people there.
I already know how I'm going to start out the whole thing. I'm going to open the thing by saying, listen, when I see a pregnant lady, I think to myself, she must have been fucking. That's how I'm opening it.
Oh my God.
Why? Because I need to tee up the fact that you got to use deductive reasoning. You got to use common sense. It's got to be logical. Like, success isn't difficult. I don't think success is difficult. So I'll tee it up that way. And then I'll say, and by the way, don't use Generac. What was the reason? Oh yeah. They fucked over old Pink Home and
Power Home and several other
Power
companies.
Home and Pink Solar. Is it Pink?
Pink Energy.
Why Pink Energy?
So when we did
and by the way, why'd you change your name? See, some people be like, well, why did you change his name?
There it is again. So in October, before we knew all of this nonsense, in July 2021, we had an offer to do a SPAC to go public. A company called MGG brought a SPAC to us to go public for $1.05 billion. In October, we agreed that a SPAC was taking a beating, right? on the NASDAQ and everything else, SPACs were taking a killing. So the MGG ownership and us decided we're not going to do a SPAC. They had a company that already de-SPACed that was publicly trading called XL Fleet, which converted gas cars into hybrids, which was a wasted fucking business. But they had a lot of cash on the balance sheet. And so they said, look, why don't we put a deal together where they do a reverse merger with you guys? You guys use the cash to grow the business, make that an arm of your business if you want. But we got to come up with a different name because you've got this XL Fleet, you got Power Home Solar, which limits us. So we came up with, oh my gosh, let's do Pink Energy. Everybody loved it. We agreed to rebrand on fucking Earth Day. When we did that in October and the plan was do it on Earth Day because we signed the deal with them in March to close in July to be public, we didn't know this was going to happen. But unfortunately, we were doing the name change in the middle of the shitstorm, so it didn't look great. It's like the perfect storm. But we fucking changed it because we were going public and we wanted a bigger name that had more meaning than just power, home, and solar. Because we were going to do like microgrids. We were doing the vehicle stuff. We were looking at doing, EV chargers.
What Pink have to do with it?
So, true story, I was sitting there going over all kinds of names and I was like, what's a powerful name? What's a powerful thing that's intriguing? And my daughter has this makeup called Purple Elephant. And I always was like, what the fuck does Purple Elephant got to do with makeup? Nothing, but it's intriguing. So I'm like, what can we have that's intriguing? So I'm going down the list. And then one night I'm sitting there, I look over at my wife and I'm naming some things. I go, what about Pink Solar, Pink Energy? And she goes, I don't hate it. And I go, I fucking like it. So we had this idea to do it. And then after we did do it, it was a great rebrand. We had Breast Awareness reach out to us and did a deal with us. And we're like, holy shit. And the NFL thing, to some of the teams that we're partnered with, we're all excited about it. Like it was this whole movement that was happening, but the battle scars caught up to us.
Yeah. So with all that though, one of the things that was a good thing from it, like it happened for you, is that it happened to you. So now you've got that experience under your belt. Because dude, sometimes it's good to have experience winning, but it's also better to have experience winning and losing, because I think that makes for a more well-rounded warrior.
Yeah, one of my mentors, Dan Locke, told me, he's the one that's like, dude, you need to get into coaching. Not many people ever talk about their losses. They only fucking pound their chest about wins, right? And he said, you're unique. You've built 4 different service companies from the ground up to be worth tens of millions, one worth $1 billion, and you fucking lost the $1 billion one. And you're here to talk about it. And people want to know what to do and what not to fucking do. And you can navigate them through that. You can't pay for the knowledge you got. You may have lost all that. You may have lost the business, but your knowledge they can't take. And I'm like, you're fucking right. Like I can help people, whether they're startup, whether they're 30 million, 5 million, 500 million, throughout the whole journey of whatever business they're in, I can help them because I fucking have done that. I've been in all those areas. I've seen that movie before, and I can talk about my wins and my losses, my mistakes where I should have had multiple manufacturers. That's on me. I'm the fucking CEO. I should have had more.
Why wouldn't you have any?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you have many?
So because it was
like
a battery storage.
Generac.
We got sucked in. But
did they woo you? Only use us.
They wooed us. We're going to help you do all this TV. We're a publicly traded company. Our name is huge. We got wooed, because we didn't do it with panels. We've always had 2 panel companies. We've always had 2 other everything. We've had 3 finance companies, but we trusted them. Like they're a public company. I mean, we trusted them, and we fucking, if we'd have had 2, it'd have been half the problem. We probably could have survived.
But good news, like again, if you went back, you'd now have a different opinion.
Correct.
So now entrepreneurs that are out there struggling their asses off that end up grabbing you and saying, "Hey, I'll join your coaching."
Yep.
You'll have a wider range of experience to pull from.
Correct. And some of the guys I'm coaching now, because I'm just getting started, so I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Is I'm telling them, like, look, first of all, it's about block and protect. Let's get you and diversify who you're offering, because you don't know what's going to happen to that company ever. I'm living proof of that. And so you want to make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Diversify
it.
So this book, I know you wrote this, Own Your Power, no excuses, no bullshit. Your time is now. How that's a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller.
Yep.
Where do people grab it?
They can go to jasonwaller.com, where you can learn about my coaching, and you can get the Own Your Power book there, as well as the BAM podcast.
So if people want kind of you to walk them through how to grow, scale their business, what are the things you cover?
So I cover everything from startup to scaling, to building a sales team, to closing deals, to digital marketing, to learning ROAS, which is return on advertising spend. A lot of people teach digital marketing or tell people, what's your creation cost? What's your customer acquisition cost? That's bullshit. It's all about ROAS on really how to grow, where you're spending your money and the dollars it's bringing back, on what platforms.
So like, let's take me for an example.
Yes.
Like Lightspeed, nice mid 8-figure company, never really marketed per se.
Yep.
The other day, I'm like, dude, I don't know why I'm just sitting back, because I was getting kind of relaxed.
Yeah.
I mean, a good mid 8-figure company that, software based, it keeps you pretty comfy.
I'm sure.
So I'm like, dude, but I could grow this way bigger. I've never really marketed. Holy shit, let me try marketing real quick. So I just threw $20,000 out there as an ad spend, and the leads that it generated produced $257,000.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, that's a freaking 10-to-1 ROAS.
Correct.
And why, if I go to 40, and I know it doesn't continue to scale, but if I go to 40, will it be $400,000 that comes in?
Not all the time.
Not all the time. But the bottom line is I'm marketing. And the reason I brought that up is because I agree with you, because they were trying to tell me your cost per acquisition. I don't give a shit what my leads cost. I don't give nothing.
ROAS every day.
What's the ROAS? What is the return? That's all that matters.
It does. And what you just said is a perfect example of entrepreneurs need to know out there is, when is that? I think of these platforms, think of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everywhere you're doing your digital ads. Digital ads isn't fucking Google. You and I can agree that when someone goes to Google, it's out of necessity. Fuck, I got a flat tire. Let me go to Google. Oh shit, our pool's broken. Let me go to Google. But what about offering those things out there without necessity? That's where you got to go to the other platforms. Google's only necessity in the pond is that big. It's small. And so for someone like you, when someone's like, I need coaching, or I'm sorry, I need software and I need this, I'm going to go find them. They Google it and they go, oh, there's Brad's company. I'm going to fucking do that. But what about just putting the ads out there? So when you go out there and let's say you did the ads on Facebook, and your ROAS was 10-to-1. So it's $10 for every dollar spent. Well, then you've got to see where is diminished returns. Maybe when you spend, $40,000, does it go to 6-to-1? Well, then it's in between that, because then you can take those other dollars and spread them on other platforms. And I treat every platform like a pond with different fish. And so you want to make sure that you're getting those fish in at the right cost, because Google is always going to close better, and it's going to be a great ROAS. But the fish, it's a small fucking pond, because there's only so many people looking for things. You want to create the market. When we opened up solar, we were creating the market. We were going into states nobody was fucking in. So we had to educate them on it. We had to create a market. Hey, you can go solar for, financing and zero money down, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, holy shit. It's the same thing. Any business, flooring business. Hey, 0% interest. I'm helping a concrete company out of Michigan. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, get financing, get a call to action, put it on your fucking ads, and let someone, because right now, if they're like, I don't know, they're only fucking calling you when they need concrete. Well, what if the wife and husband are home cooking and they're like, holy shit, they've got concrete and brick fixing with zero interest for 18 months. We've been thinking about that. Let's fucking do it. I said, now you're fishing in a pond nobody's in, because everybody's just waiting for the Google. And Google's it's a small pond.
Certainly is. And plus it's, you have to be proactive.
Yes.
So now you're just going to be focusing on coaching, building a coaching business.
Yeah. My goal is to do coaching. I love it. I was inspired by a couple coaches, Wes Watson and Dan Locke, and then obviously inspired by you and your software and how to build the courses. My goal is to get some courses out there and really take things to the next level to help companies out there and elevate. It feels really good. When you have someone you're coaching and they're having success, and I'm having it early with some of the clients that I've got, it's like having a kid hit a home run. You're like, holy shit, like I'm so happy for you. And it's just so rewarding. And I feel like I can bring so much to the table to help these companies. And then I'm investing in some other companies, another digital marketing company and some other home service companies that I'm opening on the side that I'm not having to run and maintain. But I want to get out there and just be a difference maker in the entrepreneurship world, especially home services, athletes. I'm working with NFL players and race car drivers. I have connections to both, where they're like, look, I have all this money and I don't want it to sit in a bank, and I just don't want to fucking buy stock. I want to open up and start businesses and invest in. Well, they can hire me as a consultant or a coach, and I can go and help them look at these businesses and say, yeah, throw money at it. Here's some fucking things we can tweak, and you're going to make fucking 5 times your money. So that's the kind of shit I want to do.
And you might end up with some equity.
So that's another place. So maybe they're like, hey, why don't you just invest more of your time, Jason, and we'll give you 10% sweat equity. What can you do? I've already got a couple deals like that on the table. A company we went and saw yesterday in Ohio, same thing. They're trying to offer equity for us to come in and put a B12 shot in and take it to the next level. And I'm like, I actually like the deal, right? I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad deal. And I can help this company do it. And I can get a little skin in the game.
So is that going to keep you satisfied, just coaching?
Well, I think that as long as I can do the coaching and the podcast, we've got our Amazon docuseries that we think might turn into a reality TV show. I think I'm going to be pretty fucking busy. Like people think, oh, like we're talking about my business and building it and losing it. People don't realize that, you know, I might be this big boss and this motivator and let's go fucking crush it. Bam. Then I get home and I've got 3 daughters, a wife and a son. I'm fucking abused at home. Like I don't run shit at home. I check my nuts at the table. I walk in, all the girls run all over me. My wife runs all over me in a good way. Like it is chaos. It's fun. It's, you know, so I just feel like
I have a coaching program for that.
Oh, to help where I go home and I can call the shots.
That's right.
Fucking good luck. I'm outnumbered, dude. Like I have to play zone and I lose every fucking time, bro. Every time.
Yeah.
But I like it that way. Like, you know, you don't marry somebody. Like people kiss my ass in business all the time. I go home. I do not get my ass kissed. It is the fucking complete opposite. And I actually fucking sickly like that shit. I like that I go home and it's kind of tough and somebody's tough and keeping me between the buoys. And, you know, so I think I'm having a little bit more time at home than I used to. I was taking classes to be a public CEO, and a part of me was a little nervous. Like, what's that going to be like? Like going out there and having to fucking give these reports every quarter and deal with all this and a stick in the mud. And like, I don't know if I really want to do that. So blessing in disguise, unfortunately, with everything happening, it's like, look, now I can pick the business owners that I work with. I can make a fucking difference. I got my group coaching. I've got my podcast, the reality TV shit. I think it'll keep me busy. I just want to make an impact again, dude. I got so much knowledge. I want to make a difference.
Tell them where your podcast is also.
So the podcast is called the BAM Podcast. It's Business, Attitude, and Money. It's a top 5 entrepreneur podcast that I started. It used to be the True Underdog podcast, started a new one. And you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of the above.
Folks, you heard it. And go follow him at Jayson Waller BAM, but it's Jayson. It's Jay, son.
Yeah. So my dad's William J. and I'm William J. Son. So I tried to call my son Jayson Son, and my wife said no.
That would have been good, though.
It would have been fucking great.
And Jayson Son sounds like a name.
Yeah. She said no.
Dude, I want to meet your wife. Folks, go follow this dude. I appreciate you coming in. We'll have you back in another, couple years or before.
Yeah.
You can always pop by. But we'll have you back in a couple years to see if your coaching program is big. I mean, you got big ideas for that?
I do. I want to take it to the next level. I want to do masterminds. I want to do all these things to help people out and bring people together and fucking learn and help these entrepreneurs out there that want to get to the next level. And I'm not knocking other coaches out there, but I have the business experience of building these companies and losing them
and connections
and access that I can help them. I mean, I did over 200 pitches to public and private companies when we were selling Power Home / Pink Energy. Like I pitched to Goldman Sachs, Blackstone, Tesla, Sunrun.
Did you walk in all gussied up?
No, I wore a shirt, a jacket, and jeans, and I kept it to me, and they loved it. I got so fucking good at it that I would get complimented from like the guys at Goldman Sachs. He's like, dude, I've never seen anyone pitch their company like you. Like you're good at this. So I want to help other companies be able to do that because they don't know what to do. There were times I didn't know what to do. I want to help them get to that point.
That's nice, folks. You heard it from Jayson. Until next time, keep that shit real.
Number one, you did $1 million morning deal. Forgive yourself for all the shit that's happened in the past. Say, hey, you know what? All the shame and all the guilt and all the stuff, let it go. Give yourself permission to have a big life and then stop lying to yourself. Those were your words. I do that same thing, and that helped me.